أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم وفقنا وسائر المشتغلين للعلم والعمل الصالح بحق محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه والعن عدوهم. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, make an excuse for your fellow brother, and even if you do not have an excuse for his behavior, then seek out an excuse for him. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله اطلب لأخيك عذرا فإن لم تجد له عذرا فالتمس له عذرا أنا في رواية رواية قرأتها التمس لأخيك 70 عذرا فإن لم تجد ف70 أخرى فإن لم تجد ف70 أخرى. The narrator reached to 210 excuses for your brother, his behavior. So we have to be like this. With Islamic beliefs, we reach to doctrine number 16, that is infallibility of the prophets. Why the prophets should be infallible? Why the prophets should not make or commit a sin or mistake or even to forget things just like us? Is it possible that a person cannot forget, cannot commit a sin? Yes, of course. Because we have some solutions for the person who has a weak memory or who forgets a lot, like each day in the morning eat 21 of raisins, 21 حبة من الزبيب, or recite one page, or keep on reciting the pages of the Holy Quran, and not spit in the lavatory. These things, if a person keep on doing these things, his memory will be strong and he's not going to He's not going to lose his memory step by step. For this, that if we go back to the Holy Quran, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, that means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created mankind in a perfect category, in a perfect characters. And not only that, but He prefers mankind on the others, on other creatures. By this, mankind can be what? There is ability in mankind to be perfect. If he keeps himself, I think all of you have recited Dua Kumail. Allahumma اغفر للذنوب التي تهتك العصم. اللهم اغفر للذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. Oh my Allah, oh my God, keep me away from the sins which pertain or which prevent the supplication or from the response of the supplications. There are many sins. Each sin, when mankind, when me and you, we commit a sin, this sin has its side effects. This sin, it has a side effects. It is exactly just like if you take a pill which you do not need it. If you take a pill for what? For heart, and you do not have heart attack or something like that, but this pill will affect you. It has a side effect. The same thing. Since it has effects, one of the effects, it make a small dot in your intellect, in your mind, in your heart, that will never, one by one, you are not going to listen what? To the good thing, to the advices. Not only that, for example, la samahallah, alcoholic person, alcoholic drunkard, when he drank alcohol, his mind is not going to think in a right way. The people who commit a sin, the people who backbiting others, they are not keep thinking in a right way. And when you talk to them in a right way, they will never accept. For example, yesterday, I was talking to somebody. He asked me for advice. I know the details that he was talking about. Then I gave him the advice. He said, no, you don't know. I said, okay. If I don't know, maybe you know better than me. But all what I know, I tell you what I know. This is my point of view. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. He said, no, you are wrong. While we are in this conversation, his son, his oldest son, he came by, and the issue belonged to his son. His son was so frankly speaking with us. Then when the words of his son, it was as the same as mine. Then I started to tell him, look, this is my point of view. And your son is approving what I just said. Why you do not care? He said, okay, yes, now you are right. Why people, I'm not saying that I am infallible person or I am messenger or what. No, I'm not. Absolutely, I'm not. I'm nothing. I admit I'm nothing. But what I want to tell you, by each sin, each mistake we did, we are losing something from our perfection. We are losing something from our perfection. While the prophets, the messengers, the infallible people, they are not committing sins, for that they keep their infallibility. This is one point. This is from my point of view. Number two, those messengers, those prophets, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them to mankind, definitely He sent them as what? As models, as guiders. It is not fit when He prevented me from committing a sin and He is doing what? He is doing the sin. It is not accepted. Absolutely. It is the same example of the doctor when he prevented the patient from smoking because he's telling him what? Smoke is danger for your life. It gives you what? Cancer and makes your smell bad and so on. and then after a while he take his drawers away and take his bucket on, and he take the cigarette and he lighted his cigarette. Is the patient going to believe him and to follow his advice? No, of course not. So, from this point, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent those immaculate and perfect and infallibility and infallible messengers to guide the mankind. It is their role to teach mankind to the what? To the right, and to guide them to the right path, and not to guide them to the wrong path. If the messenger, if the prophet, la samahullah, if Allah forbid, he commit a sin and he advised me not to commit a sin, am I going to follow him? How it comes? How it comes? In this case, from a side, he asked me not to commit a sin. From the other side, he is doing what? He is committing what? He is committing a sin. Now, and Allah asked me to follow him. And la samahallah, he is what? He is a sinner. That means Allah is accepting with committing a sin or not? If he is not accepting committing a sin, how about this act of his prophet? Is it accepted or not accepted? How do you accept that your prophet is letting his wife on his shoulder and let her look for what? For the person who is using what? Who is using the drums in Medina. Is this accept act? It is an accepted act or not? Definitely it is not an accepted act. Definitely the person who is doing so, he is not what? He is not an infallible person. When Allah sending a prophet to us, this prophet should be an infallible person. And all his words and acts should be applicable to what he has said. In order to give me a motive to follow him and not to do and not to commit the bad deeds or the evil deeds. So, infallibility for the prophets, it is a necessity. It is not something extra. It is not something that maybe they need it or not. And we cannot ascribe the prophet as what? As not an infallible. Or he is only infallible by giving what? By giving the message, by giving the verses of the Quran. He is infallible from this side, and he is not infallible from the other sides. Okay, he passed me that the order from Allah not to lie. Not to lie. Lie is haram. Is forbid act. Okay, he passed this information, this order from Allah. And from the other side, he is a liar. Is this accepted? No, this is not accepted. Absolutely, this is not accepted. We have to take care. And we have to deal with this issue with accurate and professional people. Not to follow our whims, not to follow somebody who is saying any claims or who claims or argue about such issue, and we are going to follow him and to accept what he said. Absolutely not. The personality of the prophet absolutely should be what? Definitely should be a perfect from all aspects, from all sides. We have to accept this. This is the mind, this is the intellect, this is the wisdom, the wisdom or the wise thing from sending a prophet. He should be what? He should be an infallible person. Late Muzaffar, may Allah bless his soul, he said, we believe that the prophets, all without exception, are infallible. So are the holy imams, alayhim salam. So the same infallibility to the prophets, as well as the same infallibility to whom? To the imams. The successors to the holy prophets, salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi. Pure blessings be upon them all. However, some Muslims sects have disagreed with us on this doctrine, as they do not deem necessary the infallibility of the infallibility of the prophets alayhim salam. Let alone the holy imams alayhim salam. Infallibility, asma, means to avoid committing sins and acts of disobedience to Almighty Allah, be they major or trivial. Those sins, whatever those sins, even if they are major or trivial. مهما كانت هذه الذنوب صغيرة أو كبيرة. It couldn't belong to the prophets. It also includes refraining from committing errors and expressing unawareness, even if such things are rationally not impossible for the prophets. Nevertheless, a prophet is required to be far above even slight defects that may injure his personality, such as eating like ordinary and laughing loudly. Look, my daughters, I am a normal person. I'm a simple sheikh. I'm very simple sheikh. Okay? I'm not alim. But when I'm wearing my dress as sheikh, as a scholar, I cannot sit anywhere. I cannot talk to anybody. I cannot eat anywhere. Even if they invite me, I'm not going to eat as my normal way of eating. I'm telling you the truth. If you will say, no, this is a kind of hypocrite, or you are doing something in front of... No, not like that. But when I'm wearing my uniform, the people, they think that I am what? I am perfect. I should act as I am a scholar. I cannot sit with anybody. I cannot talk to anybody just like their normal talk when they start to sit and to gossip and to backbiting and to lie and to laugh loudly. I cannot do this. Even without my dress, I cannot do this. So how about the Prophet? Absolutely, he is not like us. As well as every act that is crude, it is necessary to prove the infallibility of the prophets alayhim salam, because of a prophet commits a sin, an act of disobedience to Almighty Allah, an error or any similar act, then the matter will be restricted to one of the following probabilities. If the Prophet commits what? Commits a sin, that will be one of the four reasons, or one of the four probabilities. Number one, it is still obligatory to follow him in such an act. That means if he commit a sin, I will follow him, and to do the same thing, I will commit a sin too. And this is not accepted. And this is not accepted. Two, it is not obligatory. It is not obligatory. Not obligatory to follow him. If it is not obligatory to follow him, so why Allah sent him as a prophet for us? Why? There is no need for what? There is no need for prophet or prophethood. As for the first probability, if it is obligatory to follow him in such acts, this will definitely mean that it is a permissible and even obligatory to commit acts of disobedience to Almighty Allah by His permission. That means Allah accepted for me to do the bad acts like him. And this is absolutely invalid on account of religious and reason-based necessities. It is not accepted to commit what? To commit a sin. This is not accepted at all. If we decide that it is not obligatory to follow the Prophet, this will definitely be in violation of the essential principle of the belief in prophethood. Obedience to the prophets is an obligation once they have been recognized. If we are not following them, so what is the benefit from not to follow the Prophet? So there is no need for what? There is no need for prophets, and there is no need for prophethood. There is no need for prophethood. Such being the case, each and every act of a prophet would be exposed to the probability that it was an act of disobedience to Almighty Allah or a mistake. Hence, we would have the pretext not to follow the prophets in any of their words and deeds. The inevitable result would be the loss of the benefit of sending messengers and prophets by Almighty Allah. Moreover, there is no need to send a messenger. If I'm not following them, there is no need to send them. Why Allah send them? A prophet would no longer be an extraordinary person, and his words, deeds, and knowledge would no longer have such precious value that is always reliable, and it would no longer be imperative to obey or trust the instructions and words of the prophets. If he has committed a sin, if he do the bad deeds or the evil deeds, so I'm not going to follow him. I'm not going to take his sentences or to take his word as what? As precious words, as the word that I will follow. Yes. All the prophets. There is no exception. Who? Prophet Musa? Yes. With a reason. With a reason. Still he is infallible. With a reason. Why? Because the Prophet Musa, at this time, when his follower asked his help, he thought that his follower was what? Was right. Because his follower, he told him that his enemy is going to kill him. You understand what I'm saying? From this point, Prophet Musa killed this person. He doesn't kill him aggressively or with aggression or without a reason. Have you got it? This very proof is applicable to the infallibility of the holy Imams, because we believe that Almighty Allah select an Imam for this position to guide human beings and represent prophets. That's all for this doctrine. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.